So this is the self-development with tactics book.
So, this one's going to be the last one about super thinking, the book that we went through the past few days. And then we're going to talk about a few Reddit questions because they are always really, really, really good. But as always, more after the intro. And with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I really am pumped for this episode. It's going to be a good episode, even though it might be a really strange one, just because I'm having a feeling. And now I'm also a little bit brighter. I do hope, by the way, that the quality is fine, that there's no lag or something, because I've just seen that he's saying like, well, there is something going on, like the software is just shouting around an error. But yeah, everything should be fine, I guess. And we're gonna go straight into super thinking. And I've read it before so that it might be a little bit better, so that my reading might be a little bit better. And we stopped yesterday with the 8th one, and therefore we're gonna go through the 9th one today, which is gonna be the last one. And then there's gonna be some sort of a conclusion and or the summary of the summary, as I'm always referring to it. So yeah, the 9th one, flex your market power. Find a secret, which is knowing something that is important yet mostly unknown or not yet widely believed. Pretty interesting definition for secrets, but it's actually the truth. Like it does really make sense. And build your career or organization around it. Searching via customer development for product and market fit or another fit relevant to the situation. Strive to be like a heat-seeking missile, collecting data and constantly looking for bigger and better targets in your search for product market fit. Deftly navigating the idea maze, the process of turning your secret into a product that achieves product and market fit. Look for signs of hitting a resonate frequency, which is actions, strategies that bring dramatically better results for validation. If you can't find any bright spots, positive signs in a sea of negative ones in what you're doing after some time, critically evaluate your position and consider a pivot, a change in course of strategic direction. Build a moat, which is shielding yourself from competition around yourself and your organization to create sustainable competitive advantage. Don't get complacent. Remember, only the paranoid survive. You will not keep winning in perpetuity, and keep on the lookout for disruptive innovations, particularly those around high probability of crossing the chasm. Many ideas, companies, and technologies fail to make it from one side of the technology adoption life cycle to the other. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit fluid, like there is just a lot of water in my mouth, and it makes it not that easy to talk though. Still, it's been a pretty good book, you know, for all those people that might be just only listening to this one, to the last one. I highly suggest you to read it and not listen to my podcast and not listen to the other podcasts where I'm also going through them, just because I think it is a really complicated one to read, and I'm just having a lot of reading mistakes and I'm having a lot of reading issues there. So I think it's probably going to be better if you're just looking up the actual summary and read it. Unless you actually really don't want to read, then I would actually highly suggest you to listen to the podcast. It's always going to be the first few minutes. It's always the thing that I did the first few minutes. So check out the episodes. I think it must be the last 4 one, including this one or something like that. You know, it's not a lot of episodes that I did on this episode or that I did featuring this book summary. But it's been a pretty great one at my point of view. Like, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of things that I actually do not know anything about, and it's pretty good. It really is. So the conclusion, the key takeaways. Mental models unlock the ability to think at higher levels. To avoid mental traps, you must think more objectively, which is, by the way, also something that I think is just actually the truth. Like, being able to think objectively on a just really high level in terms of we are all like just really irrational. We are not all rational. Like, it is something that the human being isn't just, you know, we do just use our feelings, or we just make decisions based on our feelings and our gut feelings and whatnot. It's just what we do. Like, there's something, like, of course you can work on it, but it's probably one of the things that not a lot of people are working on, I guess. Maybe even, but I don't know. Choose activities to work on based on your guiding vision. Look for shortcuts via existing design patterns, tools, or algorithms. Apply the scientific method and experimental mindset when possible. Analyze conflict situations through a game theory lens. Manage to the person, accounting for each individual's uniqueness. Find a secret and build your career or organization around it. The third reading, declutter your mind. Guidelines So these 2 books. Not going to read the text there because I don't know if this is going to be important. So Declutter Your Mind and Guidelines. Even though Guidelines is the book basically from Paul Miner, which is the author of this blog, or the author of the whole website actually, and it is actually summarizing 33 of the best self-help books into one book basically. The action steps. Practice your super thinking daily to harness its full power. Identify your most common mental pitfalls and connect them. Look for unpredictable ways to adapt mental models from other domains and sciences into your own life and organization. And the last one is download the complete book on Amazon, or you're just gonna buy it. It's probably gonna be not that cheap. I somehow assume, I don't actually know why, but I do somehow assume that it's not gonna be that cheap. But something that I forgot about mentioning or pointing out and emphasizing and underlining is doing things differently and or searching for different paths. Because I really often believe, and I really often think that one of the main reasons people's shops, people's whatever are failing is because they are not searching for new ways. And they are also not adapting to new ways. Whether it be about social media, which is something that really not a lot of people are, and a lot of companies are just adapting to. Like, it is a way to communicate, and it is a really great way to communicate and get a lot of attention. And such a low amount of people are using it. Such a low amount of organizations and companies are using it. Of course, there is a learning curve. Of course, you might be employing somebody. But there's definitely going to be an upside, which is kind of, I don't know, you're going to invest time and maybe even money into it, and then you're going to just get back basically time and I think also money, but especially money. I'm not quite sure about time. Yeah? No. Yeah. But yeah, let's actually go through a few Reddit questions here. And I do probably have to reload it since I'm only just seeing like the old ones at this point in time. But yeah. The best books on relationship boundaries. No, I don't want to have that. A very long story, very short. I've made a horrible mess and blah, 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 blah. Some books. Boundaries by Henry Cloud, which is Cloud, or a name similar. I have seen good relationships ruined by not grazie. Respect the boundaries. It's reasonable to want to fix that. This is a go-to classic in the field of marriage consoling, whatever. Yeah, maybe you check it out, maybe you don't, maybe whatever. I've decided to talk about something because I kind of feel like that going through some questions here is not going to bring the most value. And it's also not going to be the best for me in terms of me feeling good about the episode that I'm producing, me feeling good about reading through things, me feeling good about recording this episode there. The audio might also be just a little bit lacking because I'm only using one of my blankets because I really wanted to record this episode as quick as I possibly can. Still, gratefulness. It is actually something that I haven't been talking about individually. Like in an episode, just talking about being grateful and whatnot. I haven't been doing this up to this point, but I really should, because being grateful and gratefulness in general and appreciating the things that you're having is definitely something that has to be emphasized. And it is also definitely something that people should give a fuck about and people should really focus on as well, I guess. There's a lot of people that actually have a habit of being grateful and have a habit of appreciating all those things that they're having, whether it be something good, whether it be something bad. Still, for example, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is one of the that really pops into my mind, and he's doing it every single day because it's his priming, actually, his kind of meditation. He's telling himself, or he's thinking about some things that he's really grateful about and that he's appreciating, and that definitely has to be something like that for you as well. Whether it be about your circumstances, whether it be about the food and the water that you're having, which is definitely something that you just should be grateful for and you should really be appreciating, because it is definitely not something that everybody's having. There's so many people on this planet that are not having water, that are not having anything to fucking drink, and we're complaining about stupid shit. It shouldn't be the case. I know it should really not be the case. But how could you do it? Maybe you're going to have a journal. A lot of people actually have a journal of gratefulness, a journal of being appreciative, if this is even a word, because I don't know. But maybe you're having a journal. Maybe you're going to write down whatever you're grateful for the next 2 weeks, actually, and then you're going to see what will happen. It is something that I am not doing. Even though I know that a lot of people are doing it, and I probably also know that there is going to be some upsides of doing that. I at least assume. Especially when you're not really grateful at this point in time for whatever you're having. Because you really should be. And I also think that only being appreciative or only being grateful for these things that actually make you happy and whatnot, maybe it's fine, it is okay, and I can understand it, but I guess we should also be appreciating those negative things and those things that might not be really cool or really good or whatever, because these things often show us some things. These things often are really, really, really important for different things. Whether it be changing yourself, whether it be just realizing something, whether it be just in general really changing yourself, basically, like completely. This could happen by having a negative experience with something, which of course it could also lead to something negative. You know, a negative event, just a negative change in your character, a negative change of yourself. It could also happen. The thing is, it could also happen that you're gonna have a negative experience, and then because of this negative experience, you realize that something is a certain way that you weren't able to realize before. Something that happened to me as well by being, for example, heartbroken, I've realized quite a bunch of shit. And I've been also, which is actually, I think it's been like 3 years ago, it must be 3 years ago, when I guess really started to, I think it's, I don't know, either it's been 2016 or 17, but I'm really not quite sure. I really am not quite sure, but it just somehow has to be like 2 years, 1 year, something like that. Like I'm having the podcast for a year now, so it's probably going to be 2.5 years, 2.25 years, something like that. But by being heartbroken, I actually immersed myself into the space of self-development. This was the singular reason why I've been starting to listen to motivational speeches, which was for me kind of the first place where self-development happened. Like I've been listening to motivational speeches just because I needed the motivation, just I needed the change in my mind. And also I felt really good by watching and or listening to them, which is going to be something that a lot of people are feeling. The only problem about those motivational speeches is that, of course, you're going to be motivated. Of course, it's going to be cool to listen to it. And of course, it's also going to feel good. And this is also one of the reasons why there are so many different motivational speeches, motivational challenges, channels. And like there's always, whatever platform there is, there's always going to be something about motivation. It's always going to be there. I'm seeing it on TikTok as well. It's always going to be there just because people like to just listen to these things, because people like to have the feeling of being motivated. Of course, it is then something completely different if you're just also acting on these things, because unfortunately, not a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are just listening to those really motivational things, but they don't really act on whatever is said in those motivational speeches, which is kind of the pity, actually, because you should. And we should. We should execute. We should do things, because doing is the variable, because executing is the variable. When reading would actually be the variable to success, then I don't know, we all would be reading. But it is not. Reading is a part of just everything, and just in general, acquiring knowledge and acquiring the certain skills and the experience. It just really is important for your success and really is important also for executing. But in the end, you just have to execute. It is just what you have to do. It is not something that I say that it is the case. It is basically what it is. But coming back to being grateful, you should be grateful for whatever you're having. Those bad things, those good things, something in between, the wishes that you're having, the feelings that you're feeling, whatever it might be, there's definitely something, at least 2 points, 2 things in your day, in your life that you're really grateful for. Whether it be your siblings, whether it be your mom, whether it be just some other relatives of yours, whether it be just a singular event that was happening in your life. You can also just be grateful for that for your entire fucking life. Maybe somebody saved your life, and or a life of somebody that you're just really in love with. Could also be the case. Like there's so many different things you can be grateful for, and being grateful leads you to just not feeling any other feeling. If you're grateful, there's not going to be something else in your life. If you're grateful, then you're actually not going to be unhappy at the exact same time. If you're feeling gratefulness and if you're feeling the appreciation for whatever, then there's going to be the gratefulness and there's going to be the appreciation, or there's going to be the appreciation. There's not going to be happiness, or actually unhappiness, and also happiness. There's not going to be any good feeling or any bad feeling. When you're feeling grateful, when you're feeling the appreciation, then you're not going to have any other feeling. I do think it might be, it is difficult to say, but I guess it might not be the only feeling that is just about that is having that some sort of thing, whatever, values. I'm just searching for a certain word, but I can't just translate it. Like the funny thing is that I'm really not able to translate things from English to German, even though I understand them. Like they clearly make sense to me, but I'm just really not trying to, or really also not able to translate them. Probably because I just don't know some vocabularies, but still, I don't know. And I've just forgotten what I've been talking about. what I've been talking about? I just think whether you can be feeling something else when you're feeling another feeling, because being grateful and being appreciative and whatnot, it's definitely a feeling. But it definitely makes sense that when you're grateful that there's not going to be any other feeling. On the other hand, it's, I don't know, like, of course you can be just scared, but you can also just be happy in a certain way because you know that something good is going on and it is like a funny scare thing and whatnot. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, what do you think? Do you think that besides gratefulness, that there's actually another feeling that is, or are there any feelings you can just have at the exact same time? Like really exact same time. I'm talking about gratefulness and while you're grateful, feeling something else. Because I don't think so. So just be grateful. Just be grateful for whatever you're having because you're having a lot. Because such a lot of people on this planet are probably having not as much as you're having. And of course, there's going to be some people that are in a fucked up situation. But it's probably going to be way better than being in Africa, having no water and having no water and something to eat. It's just going to be better. Probably. I don't know. I assume. But I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to see you the next time. It is a little bit of a shorter one, but there's still going to be another one for today as well. So it's good. It's fine. It is what it is. Yeah. I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which basically means just being a nice person, then also being remembered as a nice person. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, since a lot of companies started out with solving something or trying to solve something that really pissed them off in the first place. But yeah, hopefully going to see you the next time. So please subscribe to the channel and please subscribe to the podcast as well, if you want to, of course. And I'm going to hopefully see you the next time.